Well, Christopher Wyze, welcome to Living on Music, my man.
Hey, Steve, it's great to be here. I love your stuff. It's really an honor to be on your show. Thank you.
Very sweet to say. That's very nice. And I looked at what has been going on for you, especially in the recent years, after a growing up life of music, loving music and graduating and stuff like that, and then coming back later. I wanted to talk a little bit about right away about you, Christopher Wyze, and the Tellers. This seems to be the real thing that has exploded your life into a blues, the album, awards and returning and reviewing and things like that. Talk a little bit about how the life with the Tellers began and when.
Well, the life of the Tellers began probably about 15 years ago as an
Right.
idea to go make an album. And then fast forward 10 years, it took us 10 years to say we're going to make our own music. And then we did it and we had the album done, and I didn't have the name of the band or anything. So that all happened after the album.
Oh, wild. That is amazing. I guess was it at Muscle Shoals that you recorded Stuck in the Mud in
We
2022?
did. We
Oh,
did. Yeah. Now,
Muscle
Steve,
Shoals, come
yeah,
on.
get out of here, man. Yeah. So I got to tell you, I've been reading your stuff, and it says, hey, you started singing in bands in 2006. Well,
Right.
I started singing in bands in 2007 in a
Ah.
blues band. Can you believe it? So I'm 50 some odd years old, and I'm almost 50 years old, and I'm starting to sing in a band. That's how it all started.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's amazing. I had never expected to do what I would sing myself, but I said, let me give it a shot. And now I just had a Beatles tribute rehearsal last night that we're playing in
oh,
huge theaters. And it's like, it's a mind-blowing experience, let alone my band for 20 years. Anyway, fantastic that
yeah.
you would, that you guys would go to Muscle Shoals.
Well, the deal is this. I was singing in this cover band. I got asked to be the front man. I actually said this, Steve. I said, what's a front man? I must have had a few too many beverages. But the guy says, I said, what's a front man? He goes, no, we need a guy to sing in a band. I was actually at a wine dinner at a church, and there's a guy up there playing the guitar, just playing instrumental. I went up to him and said, hey, that was cool stuff. And he said, hey, are you a musician? I go, yeah, I am. I don't even know why I said that. I wasn't doing anything with music. And he said, well, what do you do? I said, well, I sing. And he goes, well, what do you sing? I said, well, I like the blues and stuff. He goes, well, do you know this? You know this? I go, yeah, I know those. He goes, well, let me I'll take a pit stop and then come up on stage with me here. And you want to do a few? I said, yeah, that'd be great. I'll do it. And so we did, and people hung around. We just kept going. And then I'm like shaking hands with him at the end of the night. Hey, see you later, buddy. What's your name? And he's like, wait a minute, don't leave. We need a front man in our band. So
Oh,
that was 20 years ago.
and that was how it began with the Tellers.
Well, no, that band was actually, they're like, you're the front man, so what do you want the name of the band to be? And so the name of my band was CW and the Working Class Trio. That was my first band.
Oh.
CW and the Working Class Trio.
Yep.
I decided that these guys were such good bluesmen. I'm like, man, we need to add a harmonica to the band. And I thought, well, I can learn how to play the harmonica. And I started doing, I went to Clarksdale, Mississippi for a 1 week harmonica blues camp and
Oh,
met who would turn in to be my producer and my co-writer of the songs on Stuck in the Mud, the album that you're showing the folks back there. He and I became fast friends. His name's Ralph Carter. He wrote songs and performed and played and was the tour musical director for Eddie Money.
oh,
So,
wow.
so Ralph and I became fast friends. And after a little while, he's like, I mean, I met him at this first camp, and it's kind of like fantasy camp for people. They go and play the harmonica, and some of them pick up the harmonica on the way to the camp. They can't
Nice.
really play. But I was actually in a band. I knew what I was doing a little bit, but I wanted to learn the harmonica. And like, a couple days into the thing, Ralph, who's one of the instructors, he kind of puts his arm around me. He said, "Hey, dude, you can do this. You need to start writing your own music." And I'm like,
Ooh,
yeah, yeah, fine. And I went back several years, a couple of years in a row, and I'd get together with Ralph and we'd yuck it up. And he goes, "Man, we're going to do an album someday." I mean, I'd love to be on your album. He goes, "No, it's going to be your album." So I kind of forget about it. I read a story because I'm an ad guy at the time.
right.
So I read this story in the Wall Street Journal about a new studio in Muscle Shoals. This guy bought this old mansion. He remodels it into a studio. The band stays there for the week and you make music. So I took a picture of it with my cell phone and I
Right.
texted it out to Ralph in Ventura, California. I'm in Indianapolis. I said, "Hey, Ralph, here's where we're going to make our record." I was kidding. And he came back and said, "Okay, when do we record?" And 5 months later, we were in Muscle Shoals in that very studio making Stuck in the Mud, that record right behind you. Because we agreed to do it. I said, I'll meet you down in Clarksdale in 12 weeks. I'll have a bunch of songs written for you. I had never written a song before.
Right.
And so I did. I walked down there with a pile of lyrics, and he's a great musician, and we turned them into songs. We recorded demos on my iPhone. He auditioned the band. He showed up in Muscle Shoals. I said, "What do I do?" He goes, "You do nothing. I'll do everything." And he
Ah,
pretty much ran the thing. I mean, he's a producer. He's got a studio out in California, and we made a record.
oh, that's spectacular. You not only made a record, but you're beginning to do the songwriting, and you get the one to watch songwriter or mention with Nashville Songwriters Association. I
Yeah,
mean,
right on, man.
what a wonderful thing to begin with. 2023, you signed with Big Radio Records, right? That's that. How did
I
that
did.
begin? How did that
Yeah,
go?
see, we had the record done before, and so we walk. I got this record done, and then it's like,
Here.
well, what am I going to do with it? I'm going to like give it to my mom to listen to or something. And it's like, well, I wanted
Perfect.
to get a record deal, and and people, I'd talk to people, I'd go to music conferences. They're like, "You're crazy, man. I'm 65 years old." It's like, am I going to get a record deal? So I joined the Nashville Songwriters Association. I got hooked up with a guy in a mentor program. His name's Jim Riley. He's a producer in Nashville. They'll listen to your stuff and critique it. He like gets on the Zoom with me. First time I meet him, he goes, "Hey, I like this. I would buy this. How can I help you?" And I said, "I want a record label." "No, we don't want a record label." On and on we go. He finally introduces me to Johnny Phillips in Memphis, Sam Phillips's nephew, Sun Studios, all that stuff.
Right.
So Johnny and his brother run the company that Sam Phillips started in 1960 called Selecto Hits,
Oh,
and Johnny knew the producer that listened to my music and said, "Hey, okay, let's do it." So we did it. Big
oh.
Radio Records, man.
No, that's spectacular. In 2023, you did that. 2024, then you actually did the official release of Stuck in the Mud.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
wonderful. And I mean, it blew up.
It blew
Did
up.
you, Christopher, did you expect that you would get the kind of feedback that you were doing on the record? Were you feeling that confident?
Betsy Brown is going to be handling the blues genre market for us. And he said, "How did you get Betsy Brown?" I'm like, "Well," he's like, "All right, I got to talk to this kid. I'm not a kid, but whatever."
Oh,
So,
that's
and,
unbelievable.
and so we had a lot of good mojo going into it. We had great studio musicians from Muscle Shoals. Give me a break.
Well,
We had a
absolutely.
great producer.
You
We
know,
had
you get a
great songs.
best new artist debut album by the Blues Blast magazine, and that was only the beginning of the stuff. The stuff that I am reading, Chris, about streaming in 90 countries. You know, you got 1,200 hours on YouTube and TV views, one to watch the songwriter thing, with the accolade. But I loved all the feedback on this stuff. It really sounds like it was a really strong way to begin this blues life, this music life for you at this time in life.
It really was, and I thank Ralph Carter for saying you can do this, and so I did. Now, Steve, as a little backdrop,
Yep.
as you and I were talking a little before the show, I've been an advertising guy, and I still do some work in advertising because I
Right.
love it.
Right.
But for the most part, in those years, I owned an advertising agency, but I also wrote. I've written 5 books. I've got 3 business books in print. I have 2
Yes.
golf books in print. So I have written literally millions of words that somebody's paid me to write. And so when it came time to, hey, Ralph, I can write these songs. I mean, I wasn't daunted by that. I had
Right.
sung in a blues band for 10 years. I get the blues, 1 4 5, baby. I know it. And I know the pattern of the words. And
Right.
I'm a word guy. I've been doing it for 40 years. So
Oh,
I just needed ideas for songs. And now I can't go a day without going, oh, I hear somebody in a restaurant, or maybe this happens to you. They'll
right.
say, making good time. And I'll go, that's a song, man.
It's like
I'll hear somebody
bingo.
just, yeah, man. And I just make these into songs, and I get a song idea, and, an hour or so, maybe a couple hours later, I'll have it written because
Right.
I was a newspaper dude before that. And you don't get to say, I don't have anything today, Mr. Editor, man.
Sure.
It's like, here's my story. You have to turn it in.
Right.
So
Right.
I agreed to meet Ralph in 12 weeks, and I had 15 songs written. So there you
Oh
go.
no, that's fantastic. I mean, and you went through that. You released that, and then in 2025, live in Clarksdale, and a live album, which is a wonderful thing to do as a second record to this run. How did that come to bear?
Well, so we were sort of talking, well, what did you think would happen? And I was like, I mean, to be honest, nothing. I didn't know. I mean, how do I know? I'm a
Great.
rookie. I don't look like a rookie, but I don't know what's going to happen. So here this thing's taken off, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. This band wasn't real. I mean, I hired some guys in Muscle Shoals. I mean, we didn't have a band. We'd never played a show. The
Right.
first time I ever heard the songs was in the studio. We'd
Oh,
never played them. We had no
amazing.
band that ever played those songs.
Oh,
So we created them in the studio. So then I'm like, well, wait a minute. We got fans, we got listeners, we got YouTube followers, we got Facebook followers. What am I going to do? I'm like, well, I'll do another record. And I'm like, I don't have any songs written. So it's like, that's okay. We'll do a
right.
live show of Stuck in the Mud. So that's live in Clarksdale. And we added a couple of
Oh,
cool covers as well. This
right.
was a different band. One of the guys was the same, but the rest of them were new. I met them the day before. We
Right.
rehearsed and we played the show and filmed it and recorded it and made a record and put a DVD out of the show. That's what we did the next day in Clarksdale, Mississippi. So and Ralph Carter, my producer, I'm like, Ralph, how do we rehearse this? He goes, don't worry about it. Just get down to Clarksdale. I'll handle it. So
Oh man.
and he's like, he runs us through. We spend maybe an hour and a half rehearsing, and the next day we did the show. And there you go. There's album 2.
Yeah, and that has gotten some absolutely wonderful reception too.
No steps forward, no steps back. Struggle now and have a heart attack. Broken, busted, I don't have a dime. I'm going down slow, Lord, I'm doing my time. After the flood, I'm stuck in the mud. Stuck in the mud. I said I'm stuck in the mud. After the flood, I'm stuck in the mud.
what a
It
fabulous run
has.
this is, Chris. I got to tell you right now. You also was it 2026 or 2025 Valentine's Day with Her Name in My Song?
Oh, well, that was just a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So funny, but I recorded that song back in Muscle Shoals in 2022.
Oh,
And it's not really a blues song. So I'm like, what am I going to do with it? So it sat around and sat around and sat around. And I talked to the folks at the record label. And like, "Hey, what do you think of this song?" They're like, "What do you mean? We need to release that as a single." So off it went.
that
And
was not your typical love song, is what you had said prior to that.
well, I like to have a little fun with the lyrics of songs, and this one, again, it was released around Valentine's Day, Her Name in My Song, and I kind of had in my head, yeah, oh, I'm going to put her name in my song, Bob, 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 Ran, and all that. Everybody puts the name of the chick in the song, right? And I thought,
Right.
well, this was a little different spin on it because this is a guy who got jilted, and he's never going to put her name in my song.
And again, what a wonderful run, Chris, to, of recent few years. And we'll talk a little bit about what's coming up as you're going forward. I wanted to just do a quick rundown the world of Evansville, Indiana, where you were born, right?
Yeah.
And where you lived, like I did in Wilton, Connecticut. I lived through high school and then before I left for college too. You took up full-time residence, but let's talk a little bit about Chris's life as a youngster and getting into the music world. You had two brothers, two sisters, the fourth of five kids. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Neat.
And the
And
deal was to try to make mom laugh because all my brothers and sisters were older. And it's like I couldn't understand why their material was so much better than mine. And then it finally dawned on me maybe a couple of years ago, oh, they were older. So
oh, I love that.
I
And
had
you're
to work on my material. And some of my material was singing
I,
because my mom always had music going, mostly
right.
way musicals and stuff
Records
like
on the
that.
hi-fi is what I saw. Broadway musical
Amen.
stuff, which my family also always took me to the because we only lived about an hour from New York. So my
Oh,
my mother was an actress and a model too, and my father would take us to shows and unbelievable shows in Broadway, and now I'm addicted to things like that. But that was music. Sinatra, Andy Williams, right? So she played the piano too. Did that give Chris you a little bit of a beginning of music in your soul?
yeah, I think so because, and I think especially the musicals and maybe like the Mills Brothers because she would play them, but Louis Prima, people like that.
Right.
And what I liked about those songs was that they told stories, and as a little kid, you could understand that, And so, you got Christopher Wise and the Tellers behind you there, maybe,
Right.
and that's what the Tellers are. We're the tellers of the stories. So it's Christopher Wise and the Tellers. And
Oh,
so that's where I came up with the name for that. So I
I
always
love it.
enjoyed the stories, the Music Man, on and on it goes. Man of La Mancha, My Fair Lady, keep going, Oklahoma, just all of that stuff. Great stories through songs.
Oh, I love that. The Tellers, now that I know what it means, I'm like, oh, that's one of my favorite band names I've heard in a long time, and
Oh, that's too
I've heard a
good,
lot
man.
of them. You sang in choirs, so you have grade school, high school,
I
and
did.
you felt like you loved the performing, so that had to feel pretty good, even though you were an introvert.
Yeah, I'm very much an introvert.
Sure.
Like many of us, I had my good times and bad, and I've had somebody shrink in my head for a few years, and I'm an introvert, man. But I learned not to be because I couldn't have gotten by in the world I'm in of advertising and owning a business without it. So I learned to get
Sure.
over it. But it was kind of I remember like in fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, I don't remember, seventh grade maybe, I sang a solo for a show. And I'm singing on stage, and then mom is like standing up in the audience, clapping. I don't know if that really happened, but I think it probably did.
Right.
And you're hooked, man. Once you get applause, you're done for. So
Oh.
I love performing.
That's wild. You were in Evansville at North High School, which was graduated, I think, from 75, I think.
75.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right around. I was 78, so we're
Okay.
close.
Yeah,
And then went to Butler University,
I did.
and you graduated also like me with a BA in journalism, which I did from Boston University.
Yeah.
And because I wanted to go into television and become a writer, producer, director, and I ended up doing that. I love that you were in that, and there was music in your world in high school and college, right? The Doobie Brothers,
Oh my gosh.
ELP, Rick Wakeman, who I've interviewed.
Oh,
It was
you're killing me.
that was an amazing experience. The Beatles, I'm singing too much of that last night. Spirit, Supertramp, Jethro Tull. So you were really into a music world in high school and college.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, look at Wayne's World. I mean, that I lived in
Oh,
Wayne's World, where you're in the car and you're listening to your 8-track tapes, and
right.
that's the world, man. And then college. I mean, what could be better? I mean, it's music
Totally.
around the clock. So it was there, but I got out of college and it kind of disappeared. I got a real job,
Yeah.
man.
That we're definitely going to hit on in a second because that's an amazing run for you. I remember going in college in 1978, my freshman year. I went in and I was like, my roommate came back from Christmas vacation with Darkness on the Edge of Town, and that was the beginning of Springsteen for me until this time in life, which I still adore the guy, and I'm going to see him at May 27th at Nationals Park for my 33rd show of his. But that
Oh,
kind of music, because of what you said, it's college. I was turned on to the Grateful Dead in college. I mean, you're just you crank through it. Were you performing at all in college?
no, we had a few things like where we do these skits and things with the girls in the sorority houses, and I
Fun.
would write some of the music and stuff.
Oh,
And
neat.
yeah, and mostly the lyrics. I'd have buddies of mine who were journalism guys, and we'd all write the stupid lyrics to the songs and stuff like that, and we had a
Well,
ball doing it.
but you're right. Yeah, but you were writing kind of, performing type of music. And then look what happened, all those years later. And right now you're a frigging selling albums with your own songwriting. I love, so you had something going on there, whether or not it was for, your own album when you were in college. No,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
love that you were churning to that. From there, you went to work for Trap and Field. And
A shooting publication. Yeah,
I've looked that up and I'm like, wow, the covers, they're like, each
it's
cover
it's hardcore, man.
they are cranking, and that was as a writer, a photo editor, I believe.
Yeah,
And then, boom, 45 years from there in advertising. How did that kick
yeah.
in? And you said you're still doing it. It sounds like you've been had a wonderful career at that.
Yeah, I took advertising in college, a few classes, and I thought it was cool. I actually went to work for a guy who had been a professor. He taught a couple of classes, owned an advertising agency. Long story short, I went to work for him. We became partners. He left decades ago, and I took over the shop, and there you go. I don't own it today, but I still work a few days a week because I don't know. I like it. It's fascinating. Keeps my brain going.
Oh, I love that you went into it there and boom, that turned out to be a fabulous career for you. I love though this part, the other part, which you had mentioned a little earlier, and I was like, I'm going to ask him again about how he got there with 5 books that
Yeah,
you've written. Now that is phenomenal that happened. 3 business books, 2 golf books. I
yeah,
love golf. My 30-year-old son is a better golfer than I am right now. I don't
yeah,
get to play a lot. We have a place out in Bethany Bay, by Bethany Beach here in Delaware, and that's our condo. And there's a par 3 course on the grounds of our area, and that is fun, even though it's not a real big golf. Talk about the golf books that you wrote.
Well, through a very, very strange circumstance, I became acquainted with a guy by the name of Pete Dye, who designs golf courses.
Oh, wow.
He's one of the most famous golf course architects ever.
Oh,
And I wrote a book with him and his wife, Alice Dye. It's the history of the one golf course that they built that was theirs. In most cases, they were hired by someone to build a golf course for someone.
hmm.
I'm actually a member of that golf course, and it's here in Indianapolis. It's called Crooked Stick Golf Club.
Oh,
And so I'm the club historian, and the way you get to be the club historian is you write a book. So I was stupid enough. I met Pete Dye the first day I met him. He was a tremendous golfer, by the way. But I met him and I just introduced myself because he was a member of our club in that he created it and built it and sold
sure.
memberships and was the first president and all this stuff. And so I introduced myself and I just said, "Hey, a pleasure to meet you." And I said, "Hey, how did this whole thing happen?" I didn't know the story. So, I mean, it was me and him. It was late in the day. There was nobody else there. And he goes on for about an hour. And I'm
Oh,
like, that's a great story. I just met him. I said, uh, have you written that down? No. Uh, does everybody here, do all the members know this? Oh, hell no, they don't know that. I said, well, do you think it should be written down? He said, yes. I said, do you have anyone to do it? No. I said, I'll do it. And he stuck out his hand. He goes, okay, let's get started. So I wrote that book. It's in its second edition, which the second edition probably was harder than the first. It had 50 additional pages, 200 new different images and historic photos and things. So it's a coffee table kind of book about golf.
Oh man, that is wonderful that you were able to do that. Do you find yourself possibly doing any other book writing as time
Well,
goes by?
I've got one that's itching at me. I almost don't want to tell you. It's going to be
Oh,
about a couple of blues musicians that are very unsung, and
oh,
it's gnawing at me. I can't sleep, and I told myself I'd never write another book because they're really hard, and it's a lot harder than writing songs. But I think I'll get there, and I'll let you know when we're closer, man.
oh no, I love that. I do. I've always thought about doing a book. I've been a journalist my whole life, and then a music journalist
Yeah,
for the last 20 years.
exactly.
Always writing something. I write for the Zebra Press, which is in Alexandria, Virginia here, and just did an article about a young woman who's just started her singing life at 30 years old. She's been ill her whole life. Beautiful young lady.
Hmm.
She's hanging in, and she is spectacular. Stevie Nicole is her name, and I did a Living on
Oh
Music with
my.
her. Now she's already starting to play live. She might get into the Birchmere here, which is one of the great venues in the country. Anyway, that is an unbelievable run for you to be able to have done those books, to continue this. You had that job. You're going along, and as we touched on a little while ago, and you talked about it, but 50 years old, started singing in a cover band, and that's where you began,
Yeah.
right? 50 years old.
Yeah, man, and they played a lot of blues, so I knew
Yes.
blues a little bit, but I didn't know it like these cats knew it, and
Oh,
man, they were good, and it just took me over. And then to go to Clarksdale, Mississippi, to go,
right.
okay, I'll just go there and learn to play the harmonica. It's like that scene. I don't know if it's still behind you for the viewers, but that's the Delta right there. That is Mississippi Delta, flat as a pancake. Those little shacks there, that ground, that's where the blues came from, right there. And to go there and learn it and feel it. And so with my last album, I think you may know this, I produced and we filmed a 50-minute documentary
Oh,
about Clarksdale, Mississippi called Wise in Clarksdale. So
oh,
I got done with the show, and we had filmed it. I work with a filmmaker down there by the name of Coop Cooper. He lives in Clarksdale. He's a Mississippi filmmaker. And I got home, and it just kept gnawing on me. I'm like, okay, I filmed my show, but why didn't I do more than that? Why didn't I film the Delta and where this music came from and what Clarksdale's all
right.
about? And so I called Coop and I said, Coop, what are you doing a couple days after Christmas? I want to come make a film. And he said, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want you to follow me around, and you live there, you know everything, and we're going to make a film about Clarksdale. And so we did. It's called Wise in Clarksdale. It's 50 minutes. It's a documentary. It's part of the package that comes out with the CD soundtrack and the film of the show and the 50-minute documentary show as well.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to check that out.
We're here in downtown Clarksdale, here on 3rd Street, I think. And I'm at Deke's Mississippi Saxophone Shop. I think Deke will tell you that it might be the only harmonica shop in the world, but here it is in Clarksdale. And I've got me a nice Deke harmonica, so when you're in town, that's where you want to stop in. Let's go take a look over here and see what we got. Hey, Deke, how you doing, man? Hey, good to see you.
How you been?
I'm good. We are at Deke's Mississippi Saxophone Shop. It's the world's only, and Blues Emporium.
Yes, sir.
It's the world's only what?
Harmonica store.
How about that?
This is the only place where you could walk in and get a harmonica, have one built by me, or tuned by me, or repaired by me, as long as I build it. I don't do harmonica repairs unless they're one of my.
I have a beautiful F Deke
All right, and
harmonica
it's rounded, painted.
well, you made me. It was a special 20.
All
that
right,
you made
all
for
right.
me. I was in town. I needed to play. I'm like, I need a harp.
I remember. I remember. Yes.
And where can you find it?
Well,
Easy.
today you got to buy the CD and DVD set from Big Radio Records. So you got to go to bigradiorecords.com. But we've put a few snips of it here and there on our YouTube channel also, so folks can see some little previews of my time in and around Clarksdale, where, 1903, Tutwiler, about 5 miles from Clarksdale. That's where W.C. Handy purportedly heard the blues played for the first time on
Oh,
the train station there.
really?
It's not there anymore, but I sat on the platform and played a little harmonica, and we took folks there and showed them where Handy heard the blues. And the blues existed before 1903, but it wasn't popular. And so W.C. Handy, who was an important band leader, who, by the way, was born in Clarksdale, Mississippi,
Oh,
he took that music and started writing songs like St. Louis Blues, and he had his band and orchestra start playing the blues, and it became a nationwide and a global kind of phenomena thanks to him
oh.
sort of hearing it there in Tutwiler.
Right. Oh, that's spectacular. Yeah, blues is definitely one of my favorites and one of the great musical, genres ever. There is just so much great stuff that's happened through that. You, though, are the current rolling thunder here with what you're doing, and I think you should be really, really happy. What is going to happen next? Have you come up with any?
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing it. You're like, hey, well, whatever happens, I'm cranking. But you didn't
Yeah.
expect this. But you're having what's
Yeah.
next for Christoper Wyze and
Well,
also the
well,
Tellers?
Steve, I have two albums in the works.
Oh,
They're in various stages. One is a tribute to uh, the great Indianapolis blues musicians Leroy Carr and Scrapper Blackwell, who lived here their whole lives, recorded here, died here, both of them in untimely, crazy deaths. And they recorded a song called How Long Blues, which just about everybody's recorded, B.B. King and Eric Clapton and
right.
Joe Bonamassa, on and on it goes. So
Yep.
Leroy Carr and Scrapper Blackwell recorded in a hotel room here in Indianapolis in 1928, How Long Blues. And it became what is said, and I don't know if this is true, but it's said to have been one of the first million-selling records ever in the world. And these guys are not known. They're gone. Leroy Carr died in 1930 at the age of 35. At that point, Scrapper stopped playing music, and that was the end of it. So they had an 8-year run, and their music is just beyond compare. And so on my album Live in Clarksdale, we actually did 2 Leroy Carr and Scrapper Blackwell
Oh,
covers, and How Long Blues and Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out.
Now, folks, I'm gonna do a little song for you. Yeah, we're down in the Delta here, but I wish I came from here. But I came from up north. Yep, came from Indiana. And you may think that, well, maybe they don't have the blues up there. But I can assure you they do, because when you hear this song, while you're listening to the blues, from a man from Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah, it was Scrapper Blackwell. Now, he's long gone now, but just about every blues player in the world has played his songs. And so, we're gonna do a little tribute to Scrapper. How long, baby, how long has that evening train been gone? How long, baby, how long? I could see the green grass up on the hill, but I ain't seen a greenback on a dollar bill. And so long, baby, so long. Fellas, play up the Scrapper.
and we got 10 more that we're working on, and
Oh,
we're working hard on. We'll be going in the studio here in the next few weeks, and we'll release an album of Leroy Carr and Scrapper Blackwell's best from Indianapolis here with my band here in Indianapolis, another incarnation of the band. So we just keep putting the tellers together in different incarnations. And
yeah, no, that's spectacular. I want to let people know when that comes out too after we run this show out there. And what about playing live? What's your thoughts on touring at all and doing any live
yeah,
runs?
yeah. Well, let me just tell you, the second album I'm working on
Ooh,
is new original material. So I've got a
yes.
few things done. The plans are to record in late summer, and we'll have a new album of all new
Great.
material. Songs are in the works. Me and Ralph are meeting in Clarksdale here, not too distant future, and I got to go back and recreate the magic, hopefully with Ralph, and we'll have a pile of lyrics and make music.
No,
So that's next.
that's
Um,
perfect.
so performing live, it's crazy. So live in Clarksdale was the first time Christoper Wyze and the Tellers performed live. And we recorded it as a live album. So that was our first show. We've done two other ones in our 3 years of this. The funny thing is, I'm so incredibly busy with
Hmm.
music that it's a huge effort, and you know this, Steve, to go do that. And I think it would put a back seat to the music I'm making.
Sure.
And, I don't know how many laps more at bats I have, but I have songs I need to make. It's important.
Hmm.
I know I need to do this. They're
Yep.
inside of me, and there's nothing more I need to do than get them out. And
Sure.
so I've been opportunistic about shows. If we have one and it's cool and we can make it, we'll do it. But that's totaled three in 2, 3 years. So
Sure.
we'll get there. But I want to get these other things done. It's really important. The new material. I've got new songs. The other thing that's happened is the guy I met through the Nashville Songwriters Association, who introduced me to Big Radio Records, and Johnny Phillips. He produces for film and TV. And so I've been recording in Nashville, Tennessee over the last couple of months. I've got several tracks that we've got out in front of folks in Hollywood to see if we can get these on radio and not radio, on television and movies. And so far, so good. I don't have anything I can give you a scoop on yet, but I've done some country stuff. I've done a few other things in Nashville with a whole new band. And so
Great.
that's going on too.
Oh, spectacular. I can't say anything else but congratulations because that seems to fit all of this stuff. Christopher Wise, alias Chris Worthwine. And I just want to say thanks so much for talking all about this stuff. I wish you the very best as this continues on your songwriting, role here. And thanks for being on Living on Music, man.
Living on music is fabulous. I love what you're doing, Steve. And go sing a bunch, man. I'll do it too.
I know. I sang on Saturday night at a winery and brewery with a
Uh,
band I've never sung with before and not even
I saw that on
rehearsed.
your Facebook. Give me the
Ah,
name of the band. I did. Give me the. I
the
forgot the
Char-
name of it.
the Chardonnays.
I love the name. I remember. I saw that on Facebook. I'm like, that's so cool.
Oh,
Way to
that's
go,
that's so
dude.
neat. You saw that. Yeah, that was a while, that was a great run. It was outside in March. We were like,
Uh,
oh no, but it was still like 75 degrees out, and we were like,
uh,
okay. But we had a blast. I love every minute of it. But look, what you're doing is cranking in this blues roots Americana world. I love every minute of you doing it, and we'll keep in close touch as we go forward, I hope.
Great to be on the show. Honored to be here, man. Thank you.
Thank you.